Uh, Hanging out in Florida today, so hopefully all is well. Today we are looking at Objective 2 of Section 2, and it's really similar to yesterday, so it's another day to practice. There's just one small step at the beginning. What we're looking for in Objective 2 is your first step when factoring is to look for a greatest common factor first. So on all of these problems, we're going to see that there's something that all of the terms are divisible by, so we're going to look for that, and we're going to divide each of them by that, and then we'll factor like we did yesterday. So if I'm looking at number 1, I have 3m squared minus 24m minus 60. I see that I have no variables in common, but all three of these are divisible by 3. So our first step is going to be to divide by 3. So we put the 3, start the parenthesis, and then divide each term by 3. So 3m squared divided by 3 is m squared. 24 divided by 3 is 8. And 60 divided by 3 is 20. And then we're going to look at that trinomial on the inside, and we're going to follow our rules from yesterday. So again, the first thing we're going to focus on is the third number, the normal one usually at the end, and what are the factors of 20? They are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, and that's it. Okay? And remember, our third sign designates what goes in our parentheses. Since our third sign is negative, in each parenthesis we're going to have 1 plus and 1 minus. And I am looking at the factors of 20 that subtract to negative 8. The ones that subtract to negative 8. So if I'm looking here, 2 and 10 subtract to 8. I need to be negative 8, so that's going to be positive 2 minus 10. Because 2 minus 10 is negative 8. If it were 10 minus 2, it would be 8. So I got to make sure the 2 goes with the plus sign and the 10 goes with the minus sign. So my final answer is going to be 3 times m plus 2 times m minus 10. And remember, you can check these very quickly by foiling the middle and then multiplying that by 3, and it would come out to be that original problem. Okay, so let's look at number 2 here. 4x squared minus 24x plus 36. Again, first step when factoring is there a GCF? Well, I see that all of these are divisible by 4. So if I were to divide by 4, that would be x squared minus 6x plus 9. And once that is, I found the GCF, I'm going to focus on that third number of the trinomial and write those factors. They are only 1 and 9 and 3 times 3. Okay, my third sign is positive, so I'm going to adopt the sign of the second for both of my parentheses. So it's going to be x minus and x minus. And then I'm looking for the factors of 9 that add to 6. 3 and 3 add to 6, so they get dropped in. Now, whenever you have a matching parenthesis like this, you can actually simplify it a little bit more. Since they're the same, you could write it as 4 times x minus 3 squared. So either of those is acceptable. This one is best, though. It shows that you really know what you're doing. All right, let's look at 3 and 4 next. So this time on 3, I noticed that they're all divisible by 2, and there is an x squared in common. Remember, for GCF, it's the smallest exponent you see, so this one, 2, is the smallest exponent. So they're all divisible by 2x squared. So if we were to divide each of these by 2x squared, that would be 2 divided by 2 is 1, x to the 4th, take 2 away. There are 2 of them left. Minus sign. 26 divided by 2 is 13. X cubed, take 2 of them away, is an x. And then plus 84 divided by 2 is 42. And x squared, take both of them away. There are no x's left. So we found that GCF. We factored it out. Now we're going to look at the factors of that third term, 42. There's 1 times 42, 2 times 21, 3 times 14, 5 doesn't go into it, and then 6 times 7. 4 doesn't go into it either. Okay, my third sign is positive. so I adopt the sign of the second term for both. So I know that my answer is going to be 2x squared with an x minus and an x minus. So then I just have to look for the factors of 42 that add to 13. Right there, 6 plus 7 is 13. So I drop them in. Again, it doesn't matter which one goes where because the signs are the same. Number 4, first step, look for the GCF. What divides these three things? The coefficients are all divisible by 3, and the smallest exponent for the y is y squared. So they're all divisible by 3y squared. If we were to divide, 3 divided by 3 is 1. Y to the 4th, take 2 of them away, it'll leave you with y squared. 18 divided by 3 is 6. Y cubed, take 2 of them away, it leaves you with 1. And then minus 21 divided by 3 is 7. Y squared, we're taking both of them away. So that would be the trinomial with the GCF taken out. Now we just focus on that third term, the factors of 7. There's only one way to get 7. It's 1 times 7. Okay, so my third sign is negative. That means my answers, parentheses, are going to have one of each. So it's going to be 1 positive and 1 negative, because it has to subtract to get to a negative 6. Subtract to get to a negative 6. So what, it can't be 7 minus 1 because that'd be positive 6. It has to be 1 minus 7, right? So that means the 1 has to be positive, the 7 has to be negative. And we'll move on to 5 and 6 at the bottom of the page. Look at that. What's in common? Is there anything in common? That's our first step. They're all divisible by 2. So we're going to divide by 2, leaving us with z squared plus 10z plus 16. Then focus on 16. The factors of 16 are 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. Okay. So then we're going to look, our third sign is positive, so we adopt the sign of the second for both. So it's going to be z plus and z plus. And what are the factors of 16 that add to get to 10? Add to get to 10. 2 and 8. 2 and 8 add to 10. Drop them in, and there you go. Number 6. This would be a good place to pause it and then try this problem on your own, and then you could compare answers after you watch me explain it. So pause it, try it yourself, and then we'll see how you do. So on 6, you should have seen that 3 divides all of those. If you were to divide by 3, that would be x squared minus 20x plus 36. Okay, then we focus on that third term, 36, the factors of 36. There are lots of them. 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and 6 times 6. All right, we've got those factors. Now I look at the sign. My third sign is positive, so I adopt the sign of the second for both of them. So it's going to be x minus and x minus. And then I'm looking at the factors of 36 that add to 20. I see it right there easily when my factors are listed out. 2 and 18 add to 20. They get dropped in. So there you go. Hopefully you did that one right. Let's check out the back. A few more problems on the back. Looks like on 7, we've got an x in common, and they're all divisible by 6. So 6x is our GCF. If we were to divide by 6x, that would be x squared plus 54 divided by 6 is 9. X squared taken x away is x. And 120 divided by 6 is 20. And x taken x away, no x is left. Go ahead and write those factors of 20. They are 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. And then my third sign is positive, So I adopt the sign of my second for both. So that's going to be x plus and x plus. And what are the which factors of 20 add to get to 9? Well, 4 and 5 right there, they add to 9. So drop them in, 4 and 5. Number 8 here, again, no big deal. You look, what's in common? Well, 4, 4, and 12 are all divisible by 4, and there's a y on each term. So 4y is the GCF. We'll divide by 4y. That's going to leave us with x squared. Take the 4 and the y, that's going to be x. Take the 12 divided by 4 is 3. Y, take it away, there's no y's left. So, the factors of 3 are 1 times 3. And I'm looking and I see that I'm supposed to subtract to get to an understood positive 1. Well, 3 minus 1 is 2. So it's not going to make 1. So this is actually as far as that can be factored. So that's going to be our final answer. 4y times x squared plus x minus 3. Sometimes they won't factor any further after you take the GCF out. And that's one of those cases right here. Number 9 and 10 are pretty similar. You just need to remember that you don't want your first term to be negative. And there's really nothing in common with these three things, but you don't want your first term to be negative. So we'll factor out a negative for our first step, and that's going to change the sign of everything else. So it's going to be x squared minus 12x plus 36 now. And then we'll focus on 36. It's 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and 6 and 6. Those are all the factors of 36. Our third sign is positive, so we adopt the sign of the second for both. So don't forget that negative when you rewrite it. So we're going to have 2x minuses. And which are the factors that add to get to 12? Which of these add to 12? Oh, right there, 6 and 6 add to 12. So we have x minus 6, x minus 6. So again, this is like the one on the front. These are both the same, so you can really combine them and say you have 2 of them with the exponent of 2. So this is best, this is okay. And then last one, number 10, again, same thing. We have a negative, so we need to first get that first term to be positive by factoring out a negative. Makes it a lot easier to solve. Once we've done that, focus on 12. It's 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Our third sign is positive, so adopt the sign of the second term for both. So we're going to have x minus and x minus. Which of these add to get to 8? 2 and 6, drop them in, and there you go. So again, hopefully this makes sense. You can rewatch the video if you need to. You can look up some other sources. You can watch the author in My Math Lab. So good luck, and we'll see you later.